terrorism. Later we find that council officials are using it to snoop on people to see whether or not their dog is messing the pavement. And I think that's the real concern. And you know, what Geoff has said sounds like something that I would expect to read in 1984. You know, how much more control can they have? How far is he prepared to go to undermine the civil liberties?
To stop terrorists killing people in our society.
To protect our civil liberties, you're going to undermine them.
Actually. And if they're going to use the internet to communicate with each other, and we don't have the power to deal with that, then you're giving a licence to terrorists to kill people.
Not so you, no. I mean, what I would say...
The words Julia used were undermining people's...
Civil liberties.
And you say you go quite a long way to undermine people's civil liberties.
Because the biggest civil liberty of all is not to be killed by a terrorist.
Dominic Green.
I'm sorry, Geoff is making such a bad case for the government. But the fact is that if you move from a system where the security services and the police have to go to an internet service provider or telephone provider to access data if they need it to bring a prosecution, to one where all this is being brought together in a central server to be managed by government, it represents a very profound change in the relationship between the state and the citizen, and there's no way of avoiding that. Now, the question that then has to be asked is this really necessary? We'd be apparently the only country in the world to go down that particular road, so there needs to be a debate if Geoff wants to justify that. And what are the safeguards going to be? One thing I can say for certain is I will fight tooth and nail to prevent a situation where a police officer in a police station can simply tap into a computer and decide what data he accesses. So there must be safeguards. But the government has to make a credible case if it wants change. And the difficulty the government has is that, of course, the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a series of incredible cases being made on large numbers of things, which is why they lost the debate over 42 days. And the government has shown that it can't be trusted over keeping data safe. And that is absolutely ruthlessly undermines their ability to persuade the public and needs to be addressed as well.
What do you say to the... You know that... I'll bring in one or two members of the audience. The woman there, second in from the gangway, that's you, yes.
Can I just say I find Geoff Hoon's comments quite offensive that have just been made, that the implication that if you don't agree with it, you're supporting terrorism. But can I also add that anybody's welcome to manage the 300, 400 spam emails I get every day in my inbox.
Can I also just say that we do need to be careful with our own data as well. I mean, my sister got raided by the police because she didn't have proper security on her wireless router, and someone had used that illegally. And so I think, as individuals, we need to be responsible about realising how powerful that data can be if someone else overtakes it.
Okay, James Caan.
I think absolutely I'm vehemently against this. I think this concept of Big Brother watching us, I think it's bad enough as it is. I think if the government want access, they should go through the same procedure as they have now, i.e. get a warrant where they find somebody has done something wrong. But I think this unilateral view that all of a sudden our entire lives and all our information is like an open book to somebody else, I think is fundamentally wrong. So
that's precisely what the proposal is. Let's be clear. The proposal is to provide the same access on the same terms and conditions with the new technology. The technology has changed. We need new powers. They will be subject to precisely the same processes.
I thought you were going to keep it all at GCHQ.
That is not the proposal plan.
It is.
Warrants would have to be applied.
Every email, I understood that it was collecting every single piece of information that everybody uses.
I do find my colleagues' touching faith in what they read in the newspapers rather disturbing. That is not what the Home Secretary
is focused on saying.
Are you saying that the Shadow Home Secretary has misunderstood what Jackie Smith is proposing?
Misrepresenting it.
No, I don't think I did, Geoff. On the contrary, I went to a considerable amount of care to represent fairly what I understand the government's position to be. Because let me say this, I can understand the government's going to have to explain why they need this change. And it may be that they can explain a coherent case why a change is needed. But if a change is going to bring about a situation where the government is in control of a server which it can access when it wants data about individuals, then that, in my view, is a situation which is massively undesirable, not only in terms of its implications, but the relationship between the state and the citizen from what it is today. And we've got to be very careful about changing that.
The woman on the yes, you.
Yeah, I just think there's a wider point that we're missing here, is that Mr. Hoon, you keep saying that the information and the technology changes. So actually, is this ever going to work? Because if you, I think it's Skype and things, you're talking about people talking over the internet, you put the controls on that, they're going to find something else. So actually, this database isn't actually going to have the people on it that you're looking for, which I think is why we can all be so cynical about it, quite honestly, because technology keeps changing.
Well, overtaken
it's not what
anything
you want.
The man over there on the left, and we're coming to the end.